the phrase which means this is the context in which Solomon is doing his research. He's not researching life with God in the picture. He's looking at life as if God does not exist. And the third word is the word prophet, which means what is left over. Solomon is going to research these various areas of life and find out what is left over. The experiences of life under the sun began in the first chapter and the 12th verse, as Solomon determines to search for meaning in wisdom. I, the preacher, or Solomon, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. And I set my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under heaven, this burdensome task God has given to the sons of man by which they may be exercised. I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping for the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be numbered. I communed with my heart, saying, look, I have attained greatness and have gained more wisdom than all who were before me in Jerusalem. My heart has understood great wisdom and knowledge. And I set my heart to know wisdom and to know the madness and folly, and I perceive that this also is grasping for the wind. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. Solomon begins by saying that he tried to find meaning in life through his wisdom and through his knowledge and through his great intellectual ability. His evaluation as he goes through this process is that education, as we would call it, is not the ultimate answer to meaning in life. The late philosopher and author Dr. Francis Schaeffer said, the damnation of this generation is that it doesn't know that it has any meaning at all. T.S. Eliot, in Choruses from the Rock, said, all our knowledge brings us nearer to our ignorance. And an old proverb says, a wise man is never happy. Listen to Solomon's conclusion about his search for meaning in education, wisdom, and knowledge. He says, I perceive that this also is grasping for the wind. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. All of us have met, perhaps even know, perhaps even are people with a great deal of education. If education could bring meaning, the happiest people in the world would be PhDs. I know enough of them to tell you that ain't so. You cannot find meaning simply through education. And one of the things that happens in our secular culture is we believe that we can change the world through education. We just create smarter people who know how to do evil in a more sophisticated way. And we don't have meaning at all. Solomon sought for meaning in wisdom. And then, as we began the second chapter, he continued his search for meaning in wild living. This sounds like a report out of one of our contemporaries. In verses 3 chapter 2, files this report. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, but surely this also was vanity. I said of laughter, madness, and of mirth, what does it accomplish? I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom, how to lay hold on folly till I might see what was good for the sons of men to do under heaven all the days of their life. Now notice, he's searching for meaning, first of all, in wisdom, and he says it's like grasping the wind. Then he decides to try to find out whether he can find meaning through wild living. And one writer has said that there was no time in Israel's history which was richer in possibilities for various pleasures and better position to make the most of them than was Solomon. He tried everything. His search took him, first of all, to amusement. The scripture says that he tried mirth, and he tried pleasure, and he tried laughter, and he tried madness. And he found out that it didn't bring him happiness. Laughter only breaks the monotony of crying, and pleasure is only an intermission to pain. Solomon was trying to be happy, and he was not. In fact, in one of the 3,000 Proverbs that he wrote that's recorded for us in the book of Proverbs, he said it this way, Proverbs 14:13. Even in laughter the heart may sorrow, and the end of mirth may be grief. He tried amusement. You can almost visualize the palace during the time Solomon was going through this experiment. It was like one of the casinos in Las Vegas, filled with lights and all kinds of excitement, wine and women everywhere. He tried his best to amuse himself into meaning. and he found out that it didn't work. And how many have we known like that in our culture? And perhaps you've been down that road and could testify today, I did it all. I experienced everything, and it left me with an emptiness in my heart. He not only tried amusement, but he tried alcohol. Notice in verse 3, I searched in my heart how to gratify my flesh with wine, while guiding my heart with wisdom. Now, please understand, Solomon did not become an alcoholic. He wasn't even drunk, apparently. He says he was able to keep his heart with wisdom. He kept his senses about him so that he could record his observation on the effect of wine taking him toward meaning in life. Wine became a socially acceptable way to loosen up and enjoy people in his conversation. But wine did not bring any sense of profit into Solomon's life, and it left him empty. Isn't it interesting how many people try to find through substance abuse some meaning in life? Solomon was one man who had all of the resources and all of the opportunity and all of the power to experience every possible and ever. He tried it all, and he discovered in his attempt to find meaning in wild living that this too was vanity, and this too was the chasing of the wind. Wisdom didn't do it, wild living didn't do it, so he tried work. He became convinced that perhaps through his accomplishment, through his project, he might find some meaning in life. And many of us perhaps have struggled with this particular avenue of meaning in life. Listen to what Solomon says in verses 4 through 6 of the 2nd chapter. I made my works great. I built myself houses and planted myself vineyards. I made myself gardens and orchards, and I planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. I made myself water pools from which to water the growing trees of the grove. If you go through that text, you will find that he says my or myself some 6 times. Solomon says, I went out and did this stuff for me. I built all of these things. I engaged in all of these architectural projects. I had pools, ponds, and parks, and they didn't really do anything for me. I had the opportunity to participate in the inauguration of the new president of Cedarville College. And some of you know that college is the place where my father invested 50 years of his life, both as the president and as the chancellor. When I was 12 years old, we moved to Cedarville, Ohio, and I became a resident of that little village. One of the men on the staff came to me and he said, do you know that when Dr. Dixon was the president of this university, he built $100 million worth of buildings on this campus? And I was kind of shocked, but I remember then looking around and realizing that was the truth. He was a great leader and a great builder. Were those projects meaningful, those buildings? Oh, absolutely. Will they serve young people and educate them? Without question. But neither the students, nor the faculty, nor the trustees, nor the president can derive from those buildings any lasting meaning. Most of the students will only spend 4 years there, or at least that's the way it's supposed to work. Some of them might have an extra year or two of enjoyment of the buildings, but that's not how it's planned. The faculty will not enjoy those facilities for more than one career, which usually is 20 to 25 years. There is no permanent meaning in the accomplishment unless the accomplishment is linked to the eternal God. We built this building. It was a great project. But you know what? When we're not here, this building has no meaning at all. It's just a place. We built this children's building. What a great thrill it was for that project. And we all invested in it and are excited about it. But when the children aren't there, it's just an empty place. And the children will grow, and we'll grow, and one day these buildings won't be like they are at all. You see, there is no real lasting meaning in projects. Ecclesiastes says that what seeking after ultimate meaning is like is to look at these projects as if they are the end all in life. There's nothing wrong with them. They have a wonderful purpose as long as we don't make them the ultimate goal in our life. If we do that, we will be disappointed. You can never build enough buildings. You cannot build them big enough or more beautiful enough to fulfill the longing of your soul, because you were created in such a way that that longing can only be filled through God himself. You see, the problem with trying to find life through accomplishment is we can look at history and find people who have accomplished far more than we could ever attempt, and they have given testimony that it leaves them with an ache in their heart.